Hi, thanks for coming and watching this. Here is a cartoon I made, which I think a nice title for it could be Burmese Python Joins the Tea Party. I hope you can see that. And again, with all due respect to people in that movement. And the cartoon shows some protesters saying, you know, things like, get big government off our backs and stop government regulations. And the Burmese Python thinking, sounds like a good idea. Beneath it reads, and so the Burmese Python found the political climate quite welcoming. ... Well, what you talking about, Willis? I don't get that at all. And that's a reference to a TV show from, what was it, the 70s maybe? So what that cartoon is saying, what that cartoonist is saying, is commenting on how the Burmese Python is here and why it's here. Well, first off, let's take a look at that situation. I think it's fairly common knowledge now, and it's been in the news quite a bit, that Burmese pythons have been taking over the Florida Everglade area and have been, maybe lesser known, have been gobbling up all the mammals in the area and have been turning up in quite spooky places like people's swimming pools and underneath their stairs and whatnot. They can get quite large and can pose a threat to, I would imagine, could pose a threat to people. I've heard stories from other places about that. And hello, no thank you. And and anyway, so that's the sort of the python. And the python was never here before. It was brought in by people. This scientist on Tom Ashbrook's show On Point, yes, one of those NPR news stories that people so revile, but hey, NPR is a good source for data, despite what you might think about it. This biologist on Tom Ashbrook's show On Point was saying that we haven't had, you know, a large carnivorous snake like this living in the U.S. and in Florida in particular for millions of years, and here it is now, so that's one part of the story. Another part of the story I got from the New Yorker magazine, you know, a long time ways back, and I think this is actually where the news lies in this python business. Why is it here? Well, according to the New Yorker article, the way the pet trade works is pets can be, any of these animals, exotic animals, can be brought in to the U.S. unless they're banned on the banned list. And the python, up until recently, the Burmese python, was not on that banned list. So I think the average person might think it would be the other way around. You need to get a license or a permit to import an exotic species, because of course it's obvious. You know, you bring in poison dart tree frogs from South America, and if they can live in Florida, now we have poison dart tree frogs. You bring in some kind of a poisonous snake and it escapes, and now it's here living here. Of course you need to get a permit. Well, you don't need to. Shockingly, a lot of money in the exotic pet industry. So that's one part of the news story, the crony capitalism. And here, you know, people on the left and the right will both agree, well, we shouldn't have these kind of corrupt, you know, dealings between government and business. And then, you know, well, what's the solution? You know, one side would want to just scale back government. And I think the problem with that anti-regulation, anti-government mindset is partially what makes politicians comfortable to not regulate the pet industry, not regulate the exotic pet industry, because it sells so well. You know, I'm going to get rid of regulations, and well, what does that actually mean? I'm not going to constrict. I'm not going to you know, constrict the exotic pet industry. I'm not going to constrict business. I'm going to, and notice I'm using the word constrict because of like the python. You get it? So, but how it really plays out is here we have the python living here now, and you know, I think we see that again and again, how this anti-regulation really plays out is weakening of things that protect people's health and safety. That's what I believe, and I think that's the news story in here with the python. And then a lesser issue is just the mindset. You know, and this isn't exactly political. This is a mindset issue, and again, I apologize to people who own Burmese pythons as pets, who like to own piranhas as pets, who like to own other deadly animals as pets. But it's hard for me to relate to why people would want them. You know, why you'd want to have something that can kill a person as a pet, and why you'd want to bring it here when it wasn't here in the first place. And then again, no offense now to our people who like to own very dangerous breeds of dogs. You know, a small dog is going to, a Labrador Retriever is going to bark and scare that burglar away as as much as one of our variety of attack dogs that are so popular now. And when you hear about those attacks, these attack kids. Anyway, so it's that mindset, I think, that mindset of like wanting a big python, a big scary dog, a big giant truck, you know, and things you don't need. Wanting these violent things as to possess. And another story in here is how we're making the earth less habitable for ourselves. You know, it isn't just, it's lowering our life quality, and I think people aren't looking at it that way. You know, like one of the interesting things of global warming I heard about also on public radio is that there's a lot of wasps, or far more wasps and yellow jackets living in Alaska, and they weren't in Alaska previously, or not so many of them anyway. So we're sort of changing the climate to make it this nastier, buggier, more dangerous place. So when you go out in nature, it's just less of an enjoyable experience, and that creates a negative feedback loop where people go out in the woods and it's scary and buggy and mean, and they don't like it, and they don't value it, and they don't protect nature, and the nature gets less hospitable. So I think those are the three lessons here, is our thoughts on regulation and government's role in that, crony capitalism, and then our mindset of why we want so many violent things around us. Anyway, thanks a lot. Take care.